Welcome to the Four Brewers Podcast. My name is John Holzer, and as always, I'm joined by
Jason Harris,
Greg Nagel,
and Tim Mather.
And this week we are bringing the funk back. It's 2021. It's we haven't had funk this year. It's time for some funky stuff.
That's Collins up in here.
Stuff.
What was that?
I said that sweet funky stuff.
That sweet funky stuff. We
Make
want
Beats,
funk.
Skunky funk.
Make yourself a funk shake.
Yeah, so this week on the show we've got funky beers / wild beers / sour beers. There's a very loose interpretation of funk on this show this week. Before we begin, I want to give a shout out to a friend of the show, Jesse Freeman. He and his wife Ileana, for the birth of their daughter, Adina Joy. She was born as of the recording of the show 3 or 4 days ago. He didn't give a precise date. This was a surprise to me, and I think the rest of the internet, because one day Jesse's talking about eating tacos somewhere in LA, and the next day he's got a kid. It's like, what the hell happened?
Eating some tacos.
I've had some taco aftermath like that, where I'm just like, oh man, birthed another human after that taco.
not quite the same thing.
I suppose. I'm just trying to relate.
Oh, that's gross. It doesn't. It's not just because it's you. You're talking about pooping, and that's just not what I didn't expect to go down that road right now. So
all roads are open, John.
And Ileana, I hope I'm saying her name right. Like, I've known her just as long as Jesse, and I still don't know if I'm saying her name right. So if it's Ileana or Ileana, yeah. Either way, congrats and Mazel Tov. We wish you guys well. So yeah, like we said, we're doing some beers this week that are on the funky side. Greg and myself both have beers from the brewery. Greg, again, with his super awesome OC beer blog, Bat Signal, put it out there, and he had beers. Literally within hours, he had beers like from the brewery. So, which is that's pretty.
Dude, we gotta get Greg like OC beer man superhero outfit. Like, it'll be like an orange Superman suit. It's got a giant mug of beer on the chest,
and it says "I'm old Greg" on it.
It's OC beer man here at the Brouhaha.
Make yourself a funk shake.
Anyway, I
also have a brewery beer, you guys.
Let's start with Jason. What do you have, man? Are you going to open that right now?
Yeah, let's start with that one. So I know from experience this beer isn't that funky, but it is a Brett beer. And frankly, I just fucking love this beer, and I haven't had it in a while. So Hottenroth from the brewery Theroux.
A classic for sure.
That's an oldie.
Is that a newer bottle or older?
I just got it off the shelf, so it seems like
nice.
It's new. It looks pretty.
I thought they stopped making Hottenroth. It's now called Frederick something.
I don't know. It doesn't have any sort of, like, the branding looks current, but it doesn't have a date
on the bottle. Usually they put a date like on like the side, or yeah, it's also laser etched on the neck. Yeah. Or the below the where the neck meets the body.
Yeah, I'm not seeing anything. Oh wait, maybe. I'm not gonna be able to see that.
Maybe the store scratched it off.
That's fine. This beer does fine with age, so I'm not worried about it.
Yeah, Hottenroth. That's I think literally the first beer I had from the brewery when I went down to their tasting room. served up by Jared,
Judy.
who's now at Playground
Santa
Ana.
Range, yeah.
And those were good times, man. Like Yvonne and I would go to the brewery literally every Friday night and hang out with that's when Ashley Routson still lived down here, the beer wench who now lives in Michigan. Tom Ham would meet us there, like just the same group of people. That's obviously when I was in New Brew Thursday. And so Steve Johnson would be there, and it was amazing. Like for a whole year, like every Friday night we just go to the brewery, and it was so much fun. It was rad.
Me too. It's probably we didn't even know each other.
Yeah,
I used to go around those
there all the
times too,
time.
because didn't they have like was it Thursday or Friday? They would always do like a new like oddball keg of some weird stuff.
Yeah, like a
Like,
cast release or
They do
something.
like pilot batches or whatever every week. Yeah. And I used to go down there a bunch in that era too, which is weird. I worked in LA and I was like, it's kind of on my way home.
Yeah. I'm already out this far, so I'll go a little bit farther south and
Pretty much.
Yeah. Back then, their tasting room was literally in the room that you look through the window into, where their current tasting room is. It was just a little like a bar that Tyler made out of old barrel staves, and they'd wheel it out every day, and they'd serve up some beers, and then when the night was over, they'd wheel it into a corner and do their shit. And now it's all full of fermenters, and it's a completely different place. But those were good times. Like I'm really happy that I cut my teeth at the brewery with the people that I did, because they're still some of the best people in the beer industry that I've ever met. And yeah, reminiscing, it was good times.
Fun fact, I am number 5 on Untapped for check-ins on this beer.
What?
Wow.
And number 1 is our friend Casey.
Wow.
That does not surprise me at all.
Yeah, good times with Casey too.
You mentioned
Brian.
like brewery crew, and I was never part of that. I came in late, and I also didn't go to the brewery very much just because it's farther away from me.
Right.
But to that point, a lot of the people that kind of float in that brewery crew circle that you're mentioning, I kind of became like secondary friends with through Untapped, and I will second the fact that they're all pretty solid and awesome people. So it seems like there was a really good crowd that kind of came out of that brewery.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and if you go to Radiant Beer Company that just opened up in Anaheim, like a lot of those original employees are now part of that, like Jonas Nomura, Cambria Griffith,
We gotta
Andrew Bell, the brewer.
we gotta get in touch with them and see if we can arrange to talk to them and taste some beer or something. I think
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they sent their entire supply to Greg already.
Yeah. We had a Zoom call. I was on a Zoom call with them with like Don't Drink Beer, and Todd Alstrom was on the call with us. It was very surreal.
When did this happen?
A few days ago, I saw it on your gram.
Last week.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Must have missed it.
Yeah, it was fun. We just,
You weren't invited, John.
So this beer I consider in my head, this is my mental reference for what a Berliner Weiss is supposed to taste like.
Yeah, I agree.
I think it just really nails the flavor. It does have that. I think it's by design in the style, but it has that kind of Cheerio flavor a little bit.
absolutely, yeah. What's the ABV of it? Because that's a tell of the age. Maybe I think the original one was in the 3s.
Good question. Yeah, 3.1.
Okay, that might be either they're rebrewing it or
It could have been on
There
the
you
shelf
go.
for a while. It does say it's no longer produced on Untapped. So
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a banger.
yeah, it doesn't taste oxidized at all, which is with a beer like this, that has lacto and Brett culture in it. It'll hold up to time fine, and it's damn good. I did myself a full like daddy pour on this beer because I'm gonna drink all of it. It's so much flavor. It's like tart. It's got a little bit of funk. It's just got a little complexity, and it's just so goddamn drinkable and refreshing, and just prickly on your palate. And it's 3.1%. You could just drink a ton of it.
It's also not too tart. Like it's got just enough tartness to, make it finish really clean and give you a little bit of bite, but you could chug that beer and be perfectly fine. Like
Yeah,
it's such a malty tart beer. It's so good.
It's a tart, like orange juice is tart. Even then, not even to that level of sharpness. Yeah, where there's an acidity there, but it's mild.
Well, speaking of low ABV beers, I got a beer that I'm going to open from Beechwood Blendery, and if you're watching on the live stream, I'm putting a photo up. This is a corked and caged bottle, and it was either, you can tell by the photo, the crown isn't quite on the cork properly, so that might be it, but it looks like this thing's ready to blow off. And this has been sitting in my cellar, well, since Beechwood, before they opened. This was part of their propagation series. This is their propagation series 004. I believe they started at 1 and then went to 2 and then 4, 8, 16, 32, 64. And they kept going and going. It was a way of them to propagate.
I think when we first went there, they had the 1, 2, 4, and 8, and we got bottles of them.
Yeah. So
I remember sitting on one for like a year and drinking it, and it did really well with time. Yours seems like it's been having a fun re-fermentation in the bottle, so we'll see how that holds up.
Yeah, I had a similar experience with previous bottles. I've got 5 or 6 different bottles of various beers from the series, and I haven't been disappointed yet. So I'm going to take this.
You'll shoot your eye out, kid.
Yeah, right.
Dude, it's like the bottle went to Tijuana and got some tacos, and it's trying to make it across the border.
That's
right. Can I hold it?
All right, so taking the cage off.
Oh, dun 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 dun.
So
there
far, so good. Let's see. Put on camera.
That's cork music.
It's actually not that bad.
Oh, it's in there. It's pretty grippy.
I mean, it's just enough. So yeah, it looks like maybe the crown was just not installed properly, because this is coming off like a normal.
A little stubborn.
Here we go. Oh
yeah,
nice.
There we go.
All right. Well, that was uneventful.
And I'm opening up a beer that is soon to be my new favorite beer in the world. It's called Cezanne Breton. It comes in 375 and also a 4-pack of cans. It's really hard to see with my crappy lighting here, but there's I think 6.5% foeder age Cezanne with Brett. And I had one last night, and goddamn if it's delicious. It's sort of like an Arnold Palmer meets like a farm, like at the same time.
Okay. Yeah, from the photo you sent, they also bottle this too, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah, 6.4%. Sorry.
So I noticed with their branding, because Theroux was their funky, wild side, which it still is, and the branding for Theroux and the brewery were 2 completely different things. And what I'm seeing now, because everything you brought to the show is from Theroux, the brewery is the more prominent branding on the bottles. Like they went back to the brewery and Theroux, so I guess if you see Theroux, you know it's funky. Whereas before, it was just Theroux, and the brewery was like kind of hidden, you know.
The 2 on the right are back to that brewery kind of label style too.
Yeah, that kind of shield looking thing, which I've always been a fan of. So I find that interesting that they're still Theroux is still a thing, but it looks like they're going back to the brewery itself for the major part of the branding on the bottles, which is fine.
Yeah, and it's got like a horse sort of thing inlaid on the background. On the can, that's not there. Well, yeah, it's not there at all on the can. It's sort of in the background on the can. But it's just a gorgeous beer. If you like Cezanne, it's sort of on the tart side, but it's not sour. It's very extremely refreshing, very thirst quenching. If you had some good cheese to pair with it, it would be like, it's just an all around perfect food beer.
How would you rate it?
On percent. So while it's highly drinkable, 7.2% isn't. That's like IPA territory, basically. So
I'd say it's 6.4. So I'm not sure.
Okay.
But how would you rate the funk?
It's got a nice funk. It's not over the top. Sort of drinks like a funky Arnold Palmer in a way.
Like if I had to rate the funk on the Hot and Roth, it's like somebody's playing James Brown in the other room.
I would say the funk on this. I would say this is about a 4 out of 10. It's more on the I would say the citrusy, refreshing side than the funky. The funk is way in the background. You get that in some wood tones from the fruiter, but it's very faint. The Brett is been tamed to a point where it's just a nice drinking beer.
So Tim, what are you drinking, man?
So I went and just kind of went to the funky section and picked out some randoms of things that I've either never heard of, never had, all that.
I'm going
good
to say this: you got a good selection, in my opinion. Like, so, like, I was like, wow, like, especially the one that's coming up later from a local LA brewery. I'm jealous you got that. But carry on.
See, and I'm like, oh, this looks good. Let's just grab it. So I'm having Maud. You have a picture of it, so you can toss that up. This is Maud. It's from Fair Isle. It's a kvass inspired ale with bread from Seawolf Bakery. They say this is from Seattle, Washington.
Nice. I have not heard of Fair Isle until today,
and this one's coming in at 4.5, so it's pretty low. So kvass is like a traditional sort of Baltic style. It's usually very low ABV, commonly brewed with rye bread.
Yeah, I'm not sure. God, who was it? I think it's Jeffrey Craig. Let's have some beer on YouTube. Was it him? Something about, I think he got some kvass beers, and I made a joke. I remember this. It's like a foggy in the back of my head, but I have no idea what kvass beer is, and I've never had kvass beer. So
it's a Slavic beverage commonly made from rye bread. Yeah, it's known for many Central and Eastern European and Asian countries as black bread. The color of the bread used contributes to the color of the resulting drink.
You know how if you're like an expert in wine, you're like a sommelier.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yep.
If you were an expert in kvass, would you be a kvassier?
Kvassier. Yep.
That's
VSOP.
Normally, it looks like, according to the old wiki, that typically kvass comes in at like 0.5 to maybe 2% max, and it's usually classified as non-alcoholic in like Eastern European countries, which I think is interesting. This one specifically, it's inspired, so it's not exactly. So that would give you a good leeway into being over that ABV percentage. But it's brewed with sprouted rye bread, with pepitas, sunflower seeds, and rye berries. And they say the bread kind of gives a hint of salinity. And then they use their yeast and their wild yeast and bacterias. It's really refreshing. I would say on the funk scale, it's probably somewhere in the middle, 4 or 5. It's not extremely funky. I thought maybe like wild and rye bread and craziness would give it more of that funk, but it's actually really crisp. It has like a bready, fruity aroma.
How about like tartness? Is it like
So it's like I didn't expect any tartness from it for some reason, and when I got it, I was like, oh, there's like a hint there. So the salinity and the tartness kind of give it like a very mild, funky goze, like not the sharp tart that you would get from like a goza, but it's still, you get that like it's more like on this sweet sour with a little hint of salt that really balances it out nicely.
Nice.
Sharp tart was my failed Shark Tank idea for a Pop Tart with its own built-in knife.
Wow.
Sharp tart.
They didn't go for it.
Didn't go for it. The Sharks didn't. They did want it.
Cerebral Brewing in Denver has a beer called A New Start, and it's spelled ANUSTART. It's a new start.
Going back to my beer from the Blendery, I don't know if I failed to mention that it was 3.8% ABV, but this Propagation Series 004, it's an ale made with rye, lactobacillus, and Brettanomyces. And God, I wish I could remember exactly when they opened. I should have looked this up, but I want to say the Blendery's been open for 4-ish years at this point, maybe 3. But this beer being so low on the ABV and what it's made with, it's starting to show signs of being like, it's coming down off of its peak. Little tiny bit of oxidation on there. Outside of that, though, it's got a nice rye spiciness. The tartness isn't really gripping. It's perfect. It's exactly what I would want from like a funky tart beer. The lactobacillus that's giving you that tartness isn't overwhelming at all. And as far as the actual funk goes, it's medium to low. It's a very well-made beer. I mean, you can look at this thing. It's been sitting in my cellar for this whole time.
Oh, that's pretty.
And it's basically, it looks dark orange and crystal clear. It's a very, very good looking beer.
This would date back to when we were there, which was just over 5 years ago. Now.
5 years ago.
Yeah,
Wow.
November 2015. So,
Okay.
Holy smokes.
Season 2, episode 44.
I was talking about the Blendery with my wife last night. We were talking about funky beers, and I can't remember which brewery in Europe did they base their fermenters on.
They never said, but it's Cantillon.
Okay, I remembered it was one of the big ones, but I couldn't remember which one exactly.
Yeah, they basically
they installed like temperature and humidity monitors all around Cantillon, and then
it was the whole thing. It
off
was wired up via the internet, I believe, and they could monitor in real time and take all of that data. I think, again, they never said it was Cantillon, but that's the rumor. And they took that data in order to simulate what it's like inside of the barrel room at Cantillon in Belgium, so they could do the same thing inside of theirs in downtown Long Beach.
Yeah, they used like a data logger and built like a temperature and humidity profile over time, and they mapped their environment to match to have the same temperature and swings and everything else too.
That's pretty cool.
Because one of the theories, big theories, and why a lot of the Belgian beer gets the character it does, is that they go through some fairly extreme temperature shifts throughout the year.
Right.
It can get very cold and can get very hot, and I think the theory is that the extremes are what kind of help the end product.
And the thing with them, with Beechwood Blendery being in Long Beach, is they can experience those high heats and those low colds. I mean, they're not like freezing cold where it gets below 0, but it gets into could get into the low 30s in Long Beach. I wouldn't call that out of the realm of possibility. I know in the Inland Empire, it definitely gets down into the 20s if it gets cold enough. It might even snow here and there, but maybe not in Long Beach because they're literally by a beach. But it does get hot and it does get cold, and so I think they can use their natural environment along with anything simulated to make those temperatures happen inside of their barrel room.
Was there like a guy named Long? Because like I don't think there's a particularly long beach, right? Like, is it like this is Dan Long's beach city, Long Beach?
No idea. I'm not a Long Beach historian.
Any eagle-eyed, any Long Beach historians chiming in? What's the origin of the name?
I don't know. It's named after New York, maybe. Long Island, Long Beach, Long is great beach.
I think
they said it had long, wide beaches. That's it.
Okay.
Well, sucks.
I don't think I've ever been to the beach in Long Beach. Do they even have like a beach? I've been to like the Queen Mary and stuff like that. Seems like there's a harbor, not so much a beach.
There's beaches.
Okay.
I mean, I'm sure there probably were 150 years ago when they named it. They look great. This is such a long, beautiful beach. Let's build a port on it.
Yeah, it's Long Beach. When I think of Long Beach, it's like Seal Beach. It's very industrial, a port kind of thing. Like San Pedro is the same thing.
I went to a literal seal beach. It ruled. Not like this, like a elephant seal beach up near Hearst Castle. That shit was amazing. It's just like you're like, oh yeah, it just looks like there's kind of some like debris or stuff that's washed up on the beach there. You're like, oh no, that's hundreds of seals.
Oh, that trash is animals.
Do you want to live in like your fun mystery of names, or do you want the true answer?
Let's go.
That's the real answer.
Let's see. In the 1870s, there was a crap ton of sheep. Then the person in 1880 sold a bunch of acres to some dude who subdivided it, creating a farm community, Wilmore City. And then he failed and was bought by a Los Angeles syndicate that called itself Long Beach Land and Water Company. They changed the name of the community to Long Beach. This city was incorporated in 1897.
So it has nothing to do with like any geography with Long Beach. It's just the name of the company that
It's
bought
not really Long Beach.
Yeah. Is Long Island long? Like it's a long island, right? It's a long.
Yeah, like California's long.
I thought it was Strong Island.
I don't know. Seal Beach used to be called Anaheim Landing back in the day because it was like a port where they brought in all the wood to make all the houses in Anaheim.
Huh.
And it was fueled by all the rich people who made wine back in the day, who traded their wine for wood.
The more I learn about Anaheim,
Materials.
the more I don't want to live there.
Speaking of Anaheim, I just opened up a beer called Spawn Anaheim.
I love that name. I love playing
Spawn
songs.
Anaheim.
God damn
Speaking
Good-
of Anaheim,
Good segue.
it.
yeah, this is a spontaneously fermented beer. I think it's Fooder, where I don't even know if the brewery has a Fooder or how they did that whole situation, but it is left out overnight and put in barrels. Looks like the barrel pyramid is what it says on the back of the bottle. And yeah, I just poured it. So
Again, I don't think they're doing anything at the brewery. It's still happening at Theroux.
everything is happening at True as far as I'm concerned. Anything like with Brett or
That's the whole reason they exist, right?
Yep.
Like, to keep the bugs away from the clean beer.
And I did ask if any of these beers coming out of True are pasteurized, because I know they do pasteurize all of their like Black Tuesday stuff, and they said nope, these aren't pasteurized. They're left to develop in the bottle, which is good to hear.
Yeah.
Well, my second beer, we're all going to have to chant a song to encourage it and build up its self-confidence so it can be good. This one's called Mr. Mistopheles. That was a Cats joke.
My
for you,
my
right?
kids super into Cats, the soundtrack, and so I've heard that song about a bajillion times.
No.
I just had a whole shitload of edibles and watched the movie. That's my only experience with Cats.
What's it called, by the way? Was that the name of it, or?
Yeah, the brewery is called Moondog Craft Brewery. They're in Australia, I believe.
Ah, okay.
And apparently, according to Untapped, I had this beer in 2016. I didn't care for it, so we'll see how this goes.
That's interesting.
Yeah,
See, that's the
never heard of
value of Untapped if you actually use it. Me, I don't. So I don't find value in Untapped because I don't use it.
yeah. This is they have alcohol ounces, blah 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 blah. They tell me what's in it. It's got Belgian wheat yeast and Brett, lactobacillus with Simcoe hops, aged in white wine barrels. Man, they're throwing everything at this beer. Passion fruit and mango.
It's like they took leftovers from a bunch of different beers. Like, what are we going to do with this?
Right. Still got some of that wheat yeast. Got some Brett. Throw that in there.
Does it smell like any hops?
Actually, yeah, a little bit. Like, you know, when sour IPA was kind of a trend for about 5 minutes. Yeah, it has that kind of same nose where you're getting that like the mega sour warhead smell, and then a little bit of hop character. It's also old.
Okay.
It was bottled in 2018, so
Well, it's had time to develop at this point.
that is funky.
Scale of 1 to 10. What's the funk? By the look of your face, I'm saying like a 9.
Yeah, it's weird funky. It's like it's, you know, sparkly heart-shaped sunglasses and afros level of funky. We're talking that sweet funky stuff. It is literally that sweet funky stuff. Let me try another one. That might have been just a big first shot.
It's like a Bootsy Collins beer. It's like the George Clinton funk, or is it like a
It's just weird. It's fruity, and it does have this like hop character to it, and this like funky Brett in the background. I don't think those flavors mesh. It's like it feels like they like messed something up and they kept trying to throw stuff at it to fix it.
with the fruit in it?
It's not uncommon.
You know what? You know, you guys needed to sing the fucking song so it would have the confidence to be a good beer.
I don't know the word.
It's you know, it's a whole bunch of stuff, and then they say magical Mr. Mistopheles.
Oh, we were supposed to sing that song.
Yeah, the magical Mr. Mistopheles song.
Yeah, exactly. It's the magical Mr. Mistopheles.
I don't know
What's
that
weird
song.
is-
So
What's weird is he's about to like do his cat's magic, but he didn't even do magic. Like the person he's trying to like summon with his cat magic just walks in.
Yeah, it's well.
So
That's
he didn't really like do magic
that's
at all.
the point. That's the point.
Is it just like
I mean,
they
'cause he's-
really
he's
want to
not-
make him feel better?
He's not really magical. He just thinks he is.
I mean, that's talking cat movie. Why wouldn't they be magical?
I don't know.
Fucking cats, dude. It's crazy. This shit's wild.
So going along with Greg, I am opening a beer from the brewery. This is the first of two that I have for the show. This is one that Greg actually brought over sometime last year. It's from their Hoarders release. This is Room for Little. This is their Hoarders small batch number 1. This is their sour blonde ale that they put into oak barrels and filled with a whole lot of peaches and nectarines. This is 6.5% ABV. So I'm going in order of alcohol content. The first one was 3.8. This is 6.5. And
John, what is the when did you say Greg gave this to you?
sometime, I'm sorry, in 2019, not last year.
So if
Yeah.
you look at the
Going out.
label, you had the label up on the screen.
Yeah. Am I wrong?
What does it say in the bottom left and bottom right corners?
It says enjoy now, don't stash, but it wasn't mine.
just that's all.
I do that every now and then. Is just leave beers. I'm just like,
Well, they're
Sorry.
saying that because it's made with fresh fruit, right? So they don't want you
Yeah.
to cellar it. And so again, it wasn't my bottle. And I remember asking Greg last year sometime if like I could open it, and he gave me permission. So
yeah, do it, man.
beers just show up here, and I'm like, this is not my beer. It is now, I guess.
It's
So,
foreign.
I
yeah.
feel like
I leave beer at my house. I just down it.
yeah. If you leave in the beer and you don't ask for it like a week later, then it's gone.
Okay, well, all right. That's the new rule. I'm down for that.
Like if I'm leaving a beer there and I'm like, John, this is for the next show, then like, yeah, okay. But
Oh, this smells good. Oh, like candy. Oh man. Okay, time did not kill this beer. Oh, a nice, sweet peach. Like you can smell like the sugar from the peaches. Like because peaches in a can with that thick like juice, that syrup juice. That's what it smells like. No, maybe a hint of funk on there, but that smells good. This smells like dessert. Really crisp. God, I think of like sunshine when I smell this. It smells like summertime in a glass. It smells so good.
is the living easy?
I was bringing home that box of brewery beers yesterday, and when I opened up my car to go get the box out of my trunk, brewery boxes like with a beer and it has just a smell on its own.
Dude, I have said this for years, right?
I'm like,
Brewery boxes smell so fucking good.
It smells like a funky beer on its own. I don't know if they hose them down with something. So like, there's a certain
I have
smell to their
like
boxes.
vivid memories in my brain of boxes from the brewery, just smelling them going, oh, the smell, it's so comforting. Like, again, I go back to when I first got into beer and how much fun I had. And whenever I smell brewery boxes that come straight from the brewery, I think about that. Their boxes smell like the brewery. They have their own.
Caught a huge whiff of that. I was like, oh man, I miss that smell. Like even if you walked in the brewery provisions, it smelled like that.
Yep.
I don't know what that smell is or where it comes from, but it's very distinct. And you walk out and you're just like, man, I'm gonna get drunk.
Yeah, I think it's an
Sour shit.
unintentional thing. Like they just store boxes inside of, well, at least they did back in the day, inside of the brewery, and it kind of picked up what was floating through the air, and now if they're still doing that on purpose, I don't know, because I would assume they store stuff like that in a completely separate location, but maybe that aroma is still lingering through the air. But
I don't even know if they know that's a thing, but it's such a thing.
oh, they gotta know. It's like you brought it up, and I brought this up
But if you're there all day, you probably don't smell it. It's like if you like if you have
True.
a
They
house.
probably go home and smell like it. Like their family's like, oh, there's that fucking brewery smell.
With me and my trade, hydraulic fluid has a very, very foul smell. And when I walk into like an elevator machine room or a pump room, the people that if I have someone from the building there, they're like, "Oh my God!" and I'm like, yeah, I can smell the hydraulic fluid, but I've worked around it so much that it's just normal to me. It still smells foul, but it's not like, they interpret that foulness. I don't want to like use it as cologne, but I'm used to it. So it's totally the same thing with the brewery funk on those boxes.
Rip off a piece of the box and use it as a starter.
You might be able to.
Dude. Going back to my Spontanaheim real quick. This beer is freaking ridiculously delicious. It's got big layers of oak going through just maybe like a 6-7 out of 10 tartness. A little bit of that salinity that you get from a sour blonde. It a little bit of Kalamata olive, like the Greek olive brine.
Again, this Hoarder's beer that I opened got the same vibe with the salinity. It's very, very present. I would say the tartness is a 5 out of 10. It's nothing that's gonna make me stop drinking this beer. The fruit aspects are coming through very well. You still get like a big peach nectarine kind of vibe coming off of it. It's not too sweet. It's not heavy. It's not too prickly, not too dry. Nice malty kind of biscuity presence coming through. This is a fantastic beer. If I were a hoarder, I was a hoarder for 1 year at the brewery. But if I were to be part of that club again, I'd be very happy to get this. This is very well done. Fresh, it was probably 10 times better.
Just banger.
Yeah, it's really
I think I brought over a few of them, so I think I had it. It was really good.
So we're doing funky beer. Our theme is funk. So how could we not have Funkworks?
nice.
We did it.
Working in the funk.
Bring out
Four columns, right?
Passion fruit provincial sour ale brewed with passion fruit.
Yum.
So I'm hoping it just doesn't taste like nothing but fruit. So we'll see.
I believe Funkworks was part of the group that 21A joined, I think.
Yeah, they were, and
Brooklyn,
they
21A
started
and-
distribution out here.
Yeah. So it's cool to see Funkworks out here. I've had Funkworks. I've been to the brewery before in Colorado. Great beers. Back when we were there during New Brew Thursday, they were very, very, very tiny, but the beers were still banging. So, Tim, what do you got, man?
So I moved on to a beer called Vernacular. This is from Oxbow Brewing out of, where was it?
Portland, Maine.
Newcastle, Maine.
They're one of it. There's an actual farmhouse brewery. They have an actual farm with a brewery on their farmland. It's rad.
Yeah, I thought being up in Maine, I'm not surprised at all by that.
Dude, I went to a brewery. Sorry
No, go ahead.
to cut you off. I went to a brewery that was literally on a farm property, and it was like beautiful, and there's like all these hills, and it was great, and I was so excited. I'm not going to name check them because I don't want to diss a brewery, but their beer was just not very good. I was just like, shit, this is such a cool place.
Own a T-shirt from that brewery, right, Jason?
Yeah.
Trying to make up for the lack of beer with the scenery.
Yeah, and then I found a place right on Division Street in Portland that made amazing farmhouse beer. So,
well, there you go. This guy's a blended farmhouse ale with grapes. They say production time 24 months, so it's been hanging out a while. It's a mixed fermentation farmhouse ale in collaboration with a place called Volo out of Toronto. According to Untapped, Volo may not be open anymore, but this was a collaboration with them. And it's a mix of barrel aged and stainless steel aged with ales with grapes.
Yeah, it's a 24-month production time, and then it says enjoy within 3 years. So you're probably within that window.
So I'm drinking this passion fruit guy, and it is funky in a weird way, in that it's that funkiness you get with tropical fruit, like that guava kind of weird, that kind of funkiness. I imagine it's coming from the passion fruit. It just has that dank tropical fruit funk, but really sweet, really cool. A pretty interesting beer. The fruit gives it a lot of character. Where normally when I hear passion fruit, I'm thinking it's going to be hot pink and just taste like fruit punch. This really has the character of fruit in it, and I really care for it.
Nice.
As opposed to the last beer that I had, the Kvass, I put the funk level on this one more in like the 7.
Oh.
Maybe more, maybe a little higher. It's definitely got that sort of funky aroma with like a. I always describe it as like that, just like farmhouse smell. I'm sure everybody kind of gets that, but the sort of
would
wild.
You say it might have like a Brettanomyces kind of edge on it, or is it more? Because like you got Lactobacillus, where it's basically all about tartness, and then Brett or Brettanomyces, which is, you don't really get tartness, but you get more of like a slightly cheesy, like hay, barnyard, to be cliche, kind of thing happening.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they use, but I put it more on the Brett sort of side of things. Brettanomyces. It's not as tart. It's got a little bit of tartness to it. A little bit of dry, bitter finish. Seems really well balanced. It's taken me a long time to get into funk and farmhouse, and so it took the first sip was a little like, oh, this again, and then now that I've kind of had a few, I'm like, okay, yeah, this is definitely growing on me. And I found the production date on this. This is a pre-pandemic beer from February 2019.
So February 19. Oh, you're almost there, dude. That's 3 years. 19. No, you're 2 years. Almost at 2 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're well within the window. Perfect. I've heard of Oxbow before, but just in passing. Like I've never had anything from them as far as I know. Maybe a brewery I've seen at like GABF or something. But yeah, they sound familiar.
I've seen them on.
I was going to say they have a really beautiful, just pale ale. That's just a light sort of. I think it's just a Pilsner based beer. I think it's maybe a blend of Saccharomyces and Brett. But it's very approachable and very dry and very crisp, and it's just a big crusher, sort of like a Oktoberfest style funky beer. It's great.
I've seen them on.
They pop up at like Firestone Walker and stuff, the Invitational, and they always bring their A game. Like
maybe that's where I've seen them. Yeah,
they're just a solid ass brewery all the way through. Everything I've had from them has been like top tier. So. Yeah,
looking at their photos on Untapped, it looks like they kind of run the gambit of different styles, and they can beer. They make a lager. That's really cool.
I've seen the bottles on the shelves at my local shops, but in all honesty, before I got into actually enjoying sort of farmhouse styles, I was always turned off by the fact that they were fairly pricey. I mean, I get it. Some of these, like, it's a more specialty thing and production value and stuff, but I'm a fairly cheap beer buyer unless I'm getting something special. So
how much was the bottle?
This is what size? This is a 500 milliliter, and I mean, granted, it's a markup because it's a local shop, but it was like $17.
Oh yeah, for a 5 mil. Oh yeah, that's.
I mean, Tim, I know you're kind of a graphic design nerd, and looking through their website, it feels like it's like a book of just like different design concepts, like all their labels.
This is somebody's portfolio right here,
right? It's just like so many weird, different, but all like very prominent designs.
Yeah,
I want some cherry Cletus.
Yeah, they have a cool aesthetic on all their labels. Worth going to the beer page on their website and checking it out if you're listening.
That's awesome. All right, I just opened up my third beer. It's called Field Horse, and it's a Saison, Foeder Saison aged with pomegranate and lemon verbena, which is kind of an interesting combo. And it pours this like nice, you can tell the pomegranate sort of lent some color to it. It's like a sort of like a deep orange, bronzy color. And you really get a bit of fresh fruit on the nose, which I don't think I've ever had pomegranate in any sour beers.
Ooh, that's interesting. I can't think of any.
It lends like a slight funkiness to it. It's nice. And lemon verbena can really come off like skin lotion.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't in this beer. It sort of gets on like helps it out with the acidity. It plays along with the tartness of the beer. It's not super duper tart. On on the nose, like it's sort of like fruit leather pomegranate. Is that? I don't know if you've ever had fruit leather pomegranate. Yeah, it's right in that vein of that. It's really delicious.
I have one last beer. I just try not to rush through, but these have all been super light and drinkable, so I'm just kind of crushing through them.
Yeah. What's the ABV on this? Field Horse 7.2. Wow, that's up there.
I had 3.1, 4.2, and this guy is 6.2.
That's an interesting thing too that I always found is the kind of the farmhouse and the funk tend to, unless you're getting something that's like super aged or like something, I don't know exactly the reason, but like I feel like most of them fall in a fairly lower ABV range.
Yeah, like around 5 is normal for the style. Like a Cezanne, like Cantillons are all around 4.2 to 5.
Well, when you get to 6 or 7% alcohol, that's kind of where the alcohol starts to become a pretty dominant flavor. Above 7%, I think it becomes a lot harder to work around. So if you're trying to do something with more subtle flavors and you go this huge alcohol profile in it, that alcohol flavor just kind of takes over the whole beer.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
it makes sense,
for sure.
right?
Yeah, for 7.2, like the brewery, I think is really, they know how to make a high ABV beer and have not alcohol, even though it says contains alcohol, very huge on the labels, but that's not a dominating flavor in this beer at all. Again, a Saison can be up to, I think the highest one I've ever had is like 8%, something like that. And they could be down to 3% and still have lots of yeast driven flavors. Yeah, this is interesting. I had no idea what a lemon verbena pomegranate beer would taste like, but this is like, it's not over the top like how brewery beers typically used to be. You know what I mean? With fruit.
Yeah.
It's like, this is on the nice side. I dig it.
I just opened a beer from 8 Wired. They are a brewery out of New Zealand, and this beer is called Once Upon a Time in Blenheim. This is from 2014. Again,
Ooh,
I think somebody
that was a
brought
nice
this
pop,
over.
Jason.
Yeah, Jason just opened it was capped and corked, right?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, we're gonna get to that in a second. But this is let's see, it's barrel aged for 3 years. It's 100% spontaneously fermented, and it's made with wild Sauvignon Blanc grape juice.
Ooh,
so
that is
0.5%.
Nagel. That is Nagel catnip right there.
Yeah,
Nagel
this is
approved.
kind of feeding into my Chardonnay Fooder barrel aged beer thing. I think when it comes to wild ales, anything that's a wild ale that's made with some kind of a white grape wine or just raw grapes is like right up my alley. Like they just work so well with like the lighter sour beers and wild ales.
So my next beer, Snoop Dogg famously once said, "We don't love them hoes." But when it comes to DeGard, Nelson Hose,
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 like hose of Nelson.
It is their Goza, so maybe it's meant to be pronounced HOSA.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, they have a series of Gozas, and a lot of them are dry hopped. This one is dry hopped with Nelson. It is oak aged for 1 year with coriander, sea salt, orange zest, and juice. It was bottled. April of 20. It was bottled 4/20. I was like, this is bottled 4/20. Did they just put that on there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's I start classifying beers as pre and post.
Yeah, that's like right at the start.
Oh my god! Going back to Kvass.
What it is?
Yeah,
going back to Kvass. Look at the link I put in the private chat, and then bring that up on screen because it's the biggest ISO thing I think I've seen on Amazon ever.
oh my god, that's awesome.
Monastery Kvass bread drink original. It comes in a 2-liter bottle.
I don't see
plastic
the
bottle.
in the chat.
Oh,
Greg.
it's in our private chat on
I know.
Discord.
Oh, on Discord. I thought you meant
There is no alcohol in this beverage. It's not real kvass, but more like kvass flavored soda.
It's not like
Is that a review? People
Yeah,
are
that's a
just
review.
like,
You can
no
get a six
beer in
pack
it,
of it.
you motherfuckers.
6-pack is $31.
I mean, honestly, it looks pretty gross.
We should buy it and drink some.
Yeah, there you go.
Be
I'm
good.
gonna-
Oh shit! I got a cork pop coming. Hold on. I took the cage off, and my cork's already starting to.
Oh, it's crawling.
All right, let's see.
Have your glass ready.
Oop, there it goes.
Oh, nope, it's fine.
That's
Yep,
a
we're
nice
good.
green bottle. What do you got? Oh, that looks like the Cezanne du Rosier.
It is. It is. Cezanne de Rosier. This is
This
from.
is-
Go ahead.
That's the one I'm jealous of from Celador.
I
Yeah.
had that on the show like 3-4 months ago.
I'm jealous of you. I have not had it.
This
I thought
is
it was buying.
this was bottled of January of 2020, so last year.
Oh, okay. I thought I was buying literally a bottle of Cezanne Dupont because the label is very
Yeah,
close.
yeah. I saw that and I was like, oh, Cezanne Dupont. And they're like, oh no, it's not. Granted, I have a buddy who was in before people started moving out of my neighborhood, in like this little beer circle where we'd hang out and have some beers. And so this dude's driveway up the street. And it was super fun, but he was a huge Celador person.
Yeah.
He was like, he didn't sleep on him. He was like spouting like Celador is the place to be, like before I think they even had any sort of distribution. And so I know of Celador, but I don't know that I've ever had Celador.
Oh,
The label being exactly a Cezanne Dupont label reminds me a beer that I bought today that isn't for the show from Indie Beer Company. It's just called Intellectual Hopperty.
Ooh, that's cool.
love me a good hot pun.
And it's making fun of everybody's labels just being somebody else's IP they stole.
Has a
Yeah,
really nice.
I've met
Really
the owners
nice
of
gold.
Celador a few times, and sadly I don't know their names, but they're the nicest people.
Oh yeah. I've run into that dude a few times, and he's always super cool. He's invited us out more than once. They're just very, very inconveniently located for us. It's probably
All
2+ hours from all of us, even Tim.
Wait, aren't they
Yeah.
over in the? They're over in the.
They're in the valley.
Yeah. That's not 2 hours for me. I'm like,
It
right
is
there.
most times a day.
Well, okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
In the
Now-
normal times.
You go 8 miles on the 405, and it takes you 2 hours.
Yeah.
Californian.
So the interesting thing is, I've never really been a big fan of saisons. There's something about them that always bugs me.
Have you had Cezanne Dupont?
Yes,
Okay.
I don't remember how I thought of it because that was a while ago. But there's
Because
some.
I'm not sure if Tim was on that show, but we talked about the Cezanne Dupont yeast, and I couldn't remember the name of the yeast from White Labs, but it was WLP 565. It's a very finicky yeast, but if you're willing to put up with its finickiness, you get a really nice kind of peppery saison. It's got a good amount of not funk necessarily, but like good Belgian saison character. But again, it's I think from what I remember, it's more on the peppery kind of spicy side.
Yeah, I think there's something about the dry, like super effervescent sort of feel that I get from them that I don't know, something about it didn't sit well with me. But this one right here, so they say it's barrel aged. It's a barrel aged quote unquote clean saison. I don't know what that necessarily means.
So they didn't use any Brett or bugs. It's just again Belgian yeast. So like that White Labs 565, that's just straight up yeast. There's nothing,
No
boundary
bugs.
driven about
So
it.
when you take a sip of it, it's got like those really tiny, really fast bubbles at the beginning, kind of like what you're expecting, but they don't last throughout. And you end with kind of this slightly sour, sort of funky, not pucker in the back of your mouth, but just tartness. And it's actually really, really nice. This seems unlike other saisons I've had, assuming that I fully remember because I kind of tend to avoid them.
Right.
But this is really interesting.
I think what sets this apart, like obviously from the label, it's inspired by Cezanne Dupont. But Cezanne Dupont, as far as I know, isn't fermented in oak, and this one is. And so you're going to pick up some of that oak barrel character, not necessarily like a sour character, or I mean, depending on the oak barrels that they're using. If it's just clean oak, it shouldn't be any kind of like tart sour thing. But you're going to pick up that kind of barrel kind of aged character, I guess, on it with that traditional Belgian Saison yeast character too.
It's
trying to
really
pleasant, taste like in my brain because I really want it.
Hop LA in the chat pointing out that is Celador's only clean beer.
Okay.
I mean,
What?
I don't know if I'll ever see you again, but I can always grab you one if it's still around.
It just hasn't made its way to the Inland Empire. So
Windsor has it. That's where I bought mine.
Yeah, that's Orange County.
Imagine there's a little ghost of Paul Walker behind me, and then hear that song where you're talking about seeing someone again. That song, is that Wiz Khalifa? Some shit. It's like, I'll
See
tell you
you
all
again.
about it when I see you again.
Yeah.
Whoa. It's like the Paul Walker R.I.P. song. Everyone be like, "Oh, it's in my heart, Paul Walker. You're never in one good movie."
Is that the song Logic used?
Yeah, maybe.
I think it is, right?
So this DeGard beer fucking slaps, guys, like they always do. Dude, I've never had a bad beer from them. They just knock it the fuck out.
I love me some DeGard as well.
It's got, the Nelson hops come through with and hops. Dry hopping always has a weirder character in a non-IPA. Like in sour beer, it just adds this weird kind of earthiness to it. And so it has a little hop on the aroma, but it's still tart. I mean, it still has citrus in there and salt. And it just, has a little bit of funk, a little bit of hoppiness. It's tart. It finishes clean, and it's super low alcohol. Well, it's 5%, so lowish and just super refreshing. I bought a bunch of accidental summer beers, and it's raining. So,
whoops.
I love it. By the way, drinking summer beers in the rain is perfect in California because it's just the best of both worlds.
Want to get some street tacos and drink some sour beers?
Oh, dude! I went down to this this bottle shop in Culver City, Hilo Liquor Mart, to pick up my stuff because it's one of the few places I like.
Hello.
I feel pretty safe about just popping in real quick to pick up some bottles. And we drove by, and there was just this long ass line out front, and I'm like, oh crap, what's going on? And then we get closer, and it's like, oh, there's a hot chicken truck in front of the place. No wonder there's a giant line.
It took my brain a second to catch up that you were talking about hot chicken. I was like, a hot chick in truck? Why is he sound like a caveman? Like,
because we're in the IE.
Hot chicken truck.
Dude, hot chicken places are like the Froyos and the ramen places of yesteryear. There's so many hot chicken places popping up in Orange County now. Like they're all the same.
Yeah, there's a new one that just came up like a few blocks down the road from where I'm at.
Did you guys see that Patrick Whitaker moved to Scotland? Or am I wrong? He moved somewhere far away. Yeah. You didn't see that?
That's weird. No, totally missed that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Scotland. He posted it on his Instagram story. But he's like permanently out of the States. Like he's gone.
Oh, lucky him.
Yeah,
right.
And he's quarantining wherever he went to for 2 weeks because that's what you got to do if you're not, coming to America. And he was exploring like his local options for buying meat and stuff for doing like barbecue and whatnot. And yeah,
hope you like mutton.
He's gone. I'm almost positive it's Scotland, but I could be wrong.
Well, we'll have to go visit him.
Well, I got one more beer.
Same.
You guys go for it.
I have one as well. I just cracked open another one that had a pop and a cork inside, and didn't realize that this is related to the Spontanaheim and the fact that it's a 3-year blend. It is a goose, my friends. A goose. It's a onus on us. And if you have the label turned just right, it looks like the anus is on us, but spontaneously fermented.
When I was doing the notes for the show, Greg just posted a photo of all the beers, but it's like with a wide angle lens, and all you see is Nuss on us. So it's like, is that an A or an O? It could be either. but
It's onus.
We should all
The
be
onus is on us.
We should all be so lucky to have anus on us.
Because when it comes to making sour beer, the onus is on the brewery Theroux to make really good stuff. And we've all had Brews, which is their, it's with pitched bugs and stuff like that, but this is all spontaneous 3 years. I had no idea that they even had 3 years of spontaneous beer to work with, but wow. This beer going based on the Spontanaheim, just adds layers of that old beer, like the 3 year beer. You can really it adds like a baseline to the Spontanaheim is more of like more on the treble side, on the tight, like cymbals, crash cymbals, stuff like that. Like the 3 year blend adds like a nice undertone to it that balances things out. It's very quenching, still on the bright sour side, but really nice funk. Nice baseline, Bootsy Collins again, going back to it, thumping away the slap. Wow, this beer is special, man. I'm gonna savor this for a while.
And from what I saw, it's only 5.8% alcohol by volume. So that's a stark contrast to the beer I'm opening from the brewery, which is a 2015 Confession. That's 9.7%. This is a collab they did with Fess Parker Winery and Vineyard. This isn't anything new. They've been doing this beer for quite a while. But this one's from 2015. I'm not sure if they're still doing it. I would assume they might be.
I don't know.
This was one of my favorites. Again, God, I looked this up, but let's see. Hold on. I got it right here. It's made with, let's see, what kind of grapes? Riesling grapes from Fess Parker's Winery.
Ooh, I've been there.
The original collab was made with grapes that were harvested by employees from the brewery and Fess Winery. So that's kind of like the collab thing. So it's made with grape juice and obviously a beer. So
I'm pretty sure my wife and I rode horses through that winery vineyard.
Wow. That's pretty cool.
Were you bareback?
Nope.
Tim shirtless.
Not even.
Tim's
Shirtless
not
in
going
the
to
forest,
dignify
going
that
through
shit with a response.
Was the horse bareback or was Tim bareback?
Tim bareback.
Okay, guys, it's been a great show. I'll see you next week.
Can you imagine a dude naked on a horse? Like, it would just demolish your balls, right? Like,
Oh,
Jesus
dude,
Christ,
yeah.
okay,
Riding a
well,
horse hurts.
Like yeah.
yeah, it would just be like somebody doing a speed bag right on your nutsack. Just a boom, 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 boom.
Was it like that, Tim, when you did it?
No. I can't even.
Tim was properly attired for horseback riding, not riding out balls out like a guy.
I'm seriously picturing Tim naked on a horse right now with his long flowing Jesus hair.
If you're not watching the video, Don's jerking off. But
If I let, yeah, I mean that image would be perfected with the hair down. I will give you that.
It would be like you've got the
Slight
image.
breeze, yeah. It could be,
Yeah.
with some tasteful
like
leaves, just like
Yes.
you
It's
know,
gonna be a
some
romance
honesty.
novel cover.
Okay. So anyway, what's everybody's favorite beer today?
Now that we're done sexually harassing Tim,
What's interesting about this beer, I expected more of like a wine character from it, and this is probably the funkiest of the beers I've had so far. It's got like, well, maybe not the funkiest. I didn't talk much about the 8-wired beer. That one had like a very kind of big cheese note to it, kind of like a stinky funk, but was still kind of citrus forward and dry and clean. This one is kind of in that same vein. For it being from 2015, it sat in my cellar since 2015. And I just put it in the fridge this morning at 9:00, and it held up very, very well. It's not as vinous as I thought it would be, like not as like grape forward, like wine forward, but doesn't mean it's bad. I think they did a good job of making a beer that's both funky, beer-like, and wine-like in the same bottle. It's a very interesting beer. But cheese is the first thing I thought of. I can't specify the kind of cheese, but like, that kind of like wafting kind of like a white cheese. It's just a hint of like that kind of funky thing happening with like curds. That's kind of what I get from it. With some fruit in there, a little bit of a grape character, but for being 6 years old at this point, it's held up very well. It's good. Anytime
you say the word confession, you have to whisper it though. That's where you messed up. Is you have to have a confession.
Fucking secret whisper starts playing in the background.
Yeah, for me, all my beers were bangers. Obviously, I can't wait to go back and buy some more of these. But I'm so freaking excited about Cezanne Breton in cans in a 4-pack that I can just go buy and have my favorite style of beer in my hand on a random night. That's great.
This Cezanne from Celador is definitely my favorite of the batch so far, which is interesting to say because, like I mentioned before, Cezannes were never like my favorite thing, but I don't think this necessarily qualifies as the same realm of the Cezannes that I have in my mind that I've had and not liked. It has a really nice little tartness, and it's just enough sort of the effervescence that you expect. It's pretty solid. Sorry, John, that you don't have any.
Yeah, one day
we'll get you some.
My favorite's got to be DeGard. It's kind of a ringer in here.
Yeah.
But also notably, I didn't mention they also spontaneously ferment these beers too, even though they're just kind of a simple goza. They're doing a spontaneous ferment.
I'm picking up all those. They're making most of their beers, right?
I think so. Yeah,
have a proper beer. I don't even think they have a wort chiller in their brewery.
I don't know. They're getting all that. They're getting all the cheese factory funk and getting it in their beers. So
the Tillamook. Yeah, if you've ever been to that area, dude, it smells like cow.
I've heard it sucks. Great. I've made plans to go to Tillamook a couple times, mainly like for DeGard and cheese. My friend's like, yeah, the cheese store is like kind of lame, and there's not even really anything good, and there's nothing else good in the town. So you drive 3 hours to go to a shitty cheese tour and one.
Unless you're on your way up to like Fort George or something. We stopped in and had grilled cheese sandwiches and some ice cream, and that was great, but it wasn't worth sticking around for.
I don't really have a favorite. Everything I had was really, really good. From the Blendery with the 004 to the Hoarders with peaches and nectarine, to the 8-wire to the Confession. Everything was great, and this is all stuff I pulled, out of my cellar and stuff that was dropped off here. Like I didn't have to buy any beer for this show, and well, I and deservedly so, I get made fun of for the amount of beer in my cellar, but there's still a lot of good stuff in there. It's just, you got to find it and try it. So.
Cellar door. Shut your cellar door.
All right, guys. So this week I had the audio fumble because my memory card of my Zoom recorder got full on the first.
Oh, shit.
So, but I constantly check it because, so I caught it, but you're not alone, Greg.
So, stopping.
Everybody check out Psycho Gorman. It's on fucking VOD right now. It was hilarious and cool. I saw it at a film fest. Yeah. So imagine like the weird vibe of like late 80s, early 90s kids movies. I'm thinking like Teen Witch or something where they're just really weird. And then add in like Power Rangers suits. Like the bad guys and stuff are like full Power Rangers level costumes and like crazy amounts of like blood and violence. So this like interdimensional like killer monster dude named Psycho Gorman comes to Earth, but for whatever plot reason, this like really bratty little girl and her brother have control over him. And it's batshit and hilarious. And check it out. It's $6 to rent.
All right.
If you're looking for other movie recommendations, we watched Greenland with Gerard Butler. It was pretty solid. It
hasn't been anything good in 10 years.
I thought it was pretty solid. I liked it a lot. It's kind of described as like, you know how there was Deep Impact and Armageddon back in the day, and like they had some sort of heroic move and they saved the world, etc., etc.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, but instead of saving it, the world just takes it on the chin.
Oh, wow.
So yeah,
That sounds depressing.
yeah. I mean, it was definitely like a bit of an emotional roller coaster, but overall, like it was pretty solid. I
It
liked
does
it.
sound interesting, though. Yeah. Because you watch movies like that, and you're like, of course, we're not going to lose. Like, we're going to come out on top, and everything's going to be okay. We'll have to rebuild, but nope.
Yeah, I won't give anything away, but overall, like it there's no stopping what is going to happen.
Okay, for sure.
No fate.
I watched the third episode of WandaVision yesterday, and
I've been hearing that show is good. I'll check it out.
dude, it's interesting. I guess there were, God, I'm not going to say this. There were hints of it that were supposed to be in like one of the after credit parts of a Marvel movie, and I think it might still be there. I'm not sure. I just read a headline, but I have no idea what's happening in this show, and that's what I like about it. I know who Wanda and Vision are, in regarding the MCU, but no idea what's happening in the show.
I had to take off, guys. Sorry.
All right, Tim.
I'm going to get
Good
back
show.
to wallpapers.
See y'all later.
Later, man.
Bye, everyone.
Later, Timmy.
Oh, you guys, you should. I found this website, boardgamearena.com, and it's pretty sweet. It lets you play games like in the browser, but they're like real board games, but like the kind of games that I own and like.
That sounds
But they're
fun.
like built to play in browser, so it's optimized to play like you can just play on your phone or whatever. It's pretty cool. I posted in our Patreon in the games section, the gaming section.
You mean in our Discord?
Or sorry, our Discord.
I saw that.
With
I
my
didn't
info. Yeah, you guys should join
I'm
up.
losing my camera.
So that free
Still here,
Battlefront 2 download, I missed it by an hour.
Oh,
It was up for like 5 days.
I know. And I was like, oh, it ends on the 21st. I'll download it on the 21st. It ended the 21st at 4 p.m. I'm like, 4 p.m.?
When I heard it was on sale, I just went to the website and clicked buy, and then I could download it whenever I was done.
I just procrastinated and I fucked up. So
Now you fucked up.
board game.
so I'm uploading both my Zoom audio and
Just tag one as
the
Zoom.
one. I did.
All right, cool.
All right.
All I want to do is just a zoom, boom, boom.
Zoom.
I just got the people that made Rock Band made a DJ game called Fuser. And it's for PC, unlike Rock Band. So I've been playing that. It's fun.
Bye, Greg. Shit. Yeah, I'm trying to make a login for this board game arena.
He accidentally unplugged his computer.
He said he accidentally closed his browser. All right. Whatever, Greg. Okay. Make a new login for board game.
Max Power, Rock Band had a Newfound Glory pack. Dude, I'd be all about it, but Rock Band 4 was for fucking Xbone. And I wasn't going to buy... I'm down to buy the peripherals and all that dumb shit. I'm not going to buy a full-on Xbox One just to play Rock Band.
Let's see. Paste and paste. Nope. I want to choose my own. Thank you, Apple. Oh, they want an email address. I should have said that.
What's really nice, the game they use as a demo is a dice roller game. And the premise of the game is you roll 4 dice and then you split them into groups and you're trying to like climb a mountain. There's each of these different columns and you're doing a mountain thing.
Mhm.
But what's cool is that game would just take a while. Like you're rolling the dice, you're sorting them out, you're going, okay, I got a 6 and then 8. And so each turn would take a few minutes.
Mhm.
Where because it's all in the computer, the dice are being rolled there. It just gives you like, all right, you have these to choose from. Okay, I picked this, and so your turns are like 10 seconds long, and so it makes the game go through really quick. It's fun. Like if you play Risk on the internet, like the computer-based Risks, where you're not actually having to roll the dice 100 times yourself, it's like, oh, this game goes quick. It's actually kind of fast-paced and fun.
So these are free to play?
Yeah.
Or
There's a premium tier. I think somebody told me that if you have more than one, if you have more than one, what's that?
They have Yahtzee.
Yeah, if you have more than one, I think if you want more than one person connected in the house, you need to pay for their premium tier for the same IP or something like that.
Because Yvonne loves Yahtzee. So if we were to do this with her family, I'd have to pay for it to get her and myself to play in the same house.
Oh yeah, they have a hot seat mode.
Just make her own account, like, and do it that way, like. Or is it like IP based, or I mean,
I'm not sure. And then it says play with friends next to you using multiple devices or the hot seat mode. I'm pretty sure if 2 people connect from the same IP, it's like, hey, you need to be premium to both connect from the same place.
Yeah.
Oh, and it has integrated video and voice if you pay for premium too.
Because this is a game, like, I'm just using Yahtzee as an example. We'd play this with her brother and her sister-in-law, my sister-in-law, and all of her kids. So they'd both have to have paid subscriptions to have multiple players. That's where they get you.
This one, I was playing games yesterday. If you want to just play with people online, you can play for free.
What if you went through a VPN, like in the same?
I'm sure you could, or you could just give them $2 a month.
It's oh yeah, that's not bad.
It's $24 a year or $2 a month, yeah. Or it's $24 for a year, $4 if you do monthly.
That's not bad.
No, that's like the cost of a game.
This looks very cool.
Yeah, it's been pretty fun. I tried out. I was looking into Tabletop Simulator for a little while, and Tabletop Simulator is cool, but it literally is like there is a board. You can, like, I could go in and knock your piece over if I want to. Like, it's literally like a 3D simulation of a table with a game and all the pieces on it and shit. Which is cool for some reasons, but then my friends have pointed out how, like, if you have games that have cards that have a lot of detail, you're constantly having to like zoom in and out to read the cards, and there's not a really good way to like go through your card deck. If you have like discards you need to go through or whatever, so it's got its own problems.
Cool. I will tell Yvonne about this. I think the year before, 2019, we bought like 3 different board games and didn't open one of them. There's a shop nearby in Riverside that we went to, and we bought some games but never played them.
Cool. Well, all right, man. I'm gonna wrap it up.
All right, guys. Thanks for
hanging out, folks,
and watching the show, and we'll see you guys next week.